Let's talk about Tesla. Over the past couple weeks, Tesla has been trading in the high 800s to now, as a market close today, March 8th, it is trading at $563. Tesla has been one of my largest holdings for a very long time. Through this decline, I held 175 shares, and just recently, I added another 40 shares to my position at an average price of $600. So now I hold 215 shares. Despite my position, though, I hope that Tesla price comes down even more. I don't think it will come down lower from here, but if it does, I have cash ready on the sidelines to buy more shares. And if it comes down lower than that and I run out of cash, then I'm willing to sell my positions in my other stocks to buy more Tesla shares. And if it comes down even more than that, let's say to the 300s, I don't even know what I would do. Maybe I'll borrow money to buy more shares, or more likely, I'll probably dabble in the options market. I've never bought an option in my life, but it might be a good opportunity to do that if the stock price comes down low enough, so we'll see. The reason why I'm so confident about Tesla is because I'm looking at its long-term prospects. The market is worried about what's going to happen to Tesla and other tech stocks for the next 1 to 3 years, while I'm looking at the next 5 to 10 years. Sure, general investor sentiment and interest rates are going to affect Tesla's stock price, but the most important factors that will affect Tesla's stock price, let's say in 2030, is how many cars they're going to sell in 2030, and of those people that buy cars, how many of them are going to buy the full self-driving software. So to answer the first question about how many cars Tesla will sell in 2030, I just look at Tesla for guidance. Tesla has targeted that they want to sell 20 million cars in the year 2030. And I think when most people hear that number, they think that Tesla is crazy. They don't believe them. I mean, the total global vehicle market sells about 100 million vehicles per year. And who knows what the market will look like in 2030. But to think that 1 out of 5 cars will be a Tesla is kind of mind-blowing. So I didn't believe them at first either, but now I do. It's not really a question of demand. I think the demand for a Tesla will be pretty much unlimited once they come out with a $25,000 car that has 300 plus miles of range and likely also has basic autopilot embedded into that price. But what about the competition? The competition has been coming for Tesla for the past 5 years. How many Tesla killers have there been? There was the Chevy Bolt, the Audi e-tron, the Jaguar I-Pace, the Porsche Taycan. None of these cars have been able to take significant market share from Tesla. And it's not really their fault. How do you compete up against a company that has the best batteries, the best drivetrain, the best electronics, the best chips? They are forecasting that their battery costs are going to come down by 56% in the next couple of years. They have a genius CEO, they have the best engineers, and they have a million cars out there just gathering data for their full self-driving network. I know that there are a lot of auto manufacturers that have announced plans that they will be investing heavily into electric vehicles, and they are betting that they can surpass Tesla, but I'm willing to take the other side of that bet. It's just too late. It takes many billions of dollars and many years to compete at the scale with Tesla. It's too late, and Tesla is just too good. It's just like asking a high school varsity team to compete with the Lakers. It's just not possible. We know that electric vehicles are going to overtake the market one day, so there's going to be a ton of demand. So even if Tesla wanted to supply all of that demand, it's not going to be possible for them. So if demand's not going to be the problem, it's going to be about how many cars Tesla can actually make. So if they can make 20 million, they'll sell 20 million in 2030. So the long-term price for Tesla is going to depend on how many factories they build and the execution within those factories. The recent news about chip shortages and higher interest rates are not going to affect how quickly Tesla builds factories. So in my opinion, the stock price down is unwarranted. So I think they'll sell 20 million cars in 2030, but the harder question is how many people will opt into full self-driving and how much will that software cost? And the answer to those questions, I think, is going to depend primarily on legislation, on whether or not governments will allow for autonomous cars on the road without a driver. So if legislation is favorable, I think that that software is going to cost maybe $30,000 or more, and maybe 50% of people will opt in, maybe even more. If legislation is unfavorable, then I think that software will cost maybe half of that, maybe $15,000. And I think about 25% of the people will opt in. I happen to think that legislation will be unfavorable in 2030, but I still estimate that Tesla will be generating a ton of high margin income from their full self-driving software. So the math that I use to calculate their 2030 income is actually super simple. If you assume Tesla's selling 20 million cars in 2030 and the average selling price is $40,000, I estimate that Tesla will be able to generate about $4,000 per car, so about 10%. So then you multiply 4,000 by 20 million cars and you get $80 billion. So then I have to ask, how much am I willing to pay for $80 billion of net income? If you apply a 30 PE to that $80 billion, then you get $2.4 trillion market cap. That would put Tesla, including any share dilution, at well over $2,000 per share in 2030. This is assuming unfavorable legislation. If legislation is favorable, then we're looking at 20 to 30% net income margins. And if that's the case, then I have no idea what the stock price would be, probably over $5,000 per share. But just because legislation is not favorable in 2030 doesn't mean that it won't become favorable in 2035 or 2040. Even though I don't think personally that legislation will become favorable in 2030, I do think that eventually it will get there. So at the price that Tesla is trading right now at about $560, I'd happily pay that price because I think that Tesla is worth over $2,000 by 2030. I'm not relying on a robo-taxi network. I'm also not relying on Tesla Energy becoming profitable. If those things happen, then great. If those things don't happen, then no problem. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.